Hello Sumeti, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we'll be learning how to make this beautiful smoky dress. Then the lower part is a circle skirt kind of. So if this looks like what you want to know how to make, you can stick around. Let's get started. So I have my fabric on the table. Now in this video I'm using the chiffon fabric, and I have 2.5 yards with me that I'm using for this particular video. Then I have my threads, right? I have my thread. The one you can see me pull is the elastic thread. Then I have the other thread. Okay, so we'll be using the two threads in this video. So I'll go ahead and fold the fabric into two. Then after folding the fabric, I will go ahead and pin it down. You know it's a chiffon fabric and it's quite difficult to work with. So after pinning it down, the next thing I'm going to do now, I'll roll a straight line on the upper part. This straight line I'm rolling serves as the shoulder line. Okay, so now the line will serve as a guide for me to take my other measurements, like the chest line measurement and the waistline measurement. Okay, so now from the shoulder line I've measured, I will remove 4 inches from the upper part of the tape. Then I will come down by 8 inches for my chest line. Then I will go down by 15.5 for my waistline measurement. Why did I remove 4 inches from the upper part of the tape? It is an off shoulder we're cutting. Okay, so now I'm dropping it by 4 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight the lines with my chalk, which is the neckline, the chest line, and the waistline. Okay, I know it's not very clear for you, cannot see it very well, but I know you can still see it, the lines a little bit. So I have my shoulder line, the chest line, and the waistline. Don't forget that from the shoulder line started from 4 inches. Okay, so from that part now, you're going to determine how many inches you are adding to your normal measurement to make the smoky part. Okay, so now I went ahead to add extra 5 inches. So what I did now, I marked the 5 inches from the shoulder line to the waistline first, then I ruled a straight line. Okay, so like you can see me do in the video, it is the 5 inches I am connecting. So it depends on how big or how spacious you want yours to be, right? But I still want it a little bit firm on my body. That's why I didn't add more than 5 inches. So now you see the 5 inch I've added. My original measurement will now be starting from the 5 inch. So the first line I'm marking now is my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. Okay, don't forget that I minus 4 inches from the upper part of the tape. That's what I'm showing us again. Then 7.5 for my shoulder measurement. I'll go ahead and connect it together. Can you see? 7.5 for my shoulder measurement. That's what you can see me connect from the shoulder line to the chest line. Then after that, from the 5 inches again, I will measure my bust measurement, which is 10 inches. I will add extra 1 inch for seam allowance. Now I'm using the biggest part of my body for this measurement, and obviously my bust is bigger than my waist measurement. So the same measurement I use for the chest line is same thing I will go ahead and impute on the waistline. Okay, so after that I'm just going to connect the lines. First of all, I will connect the armhole line, then I will go ahead and connect from the chest line to the waistline. Don't forget it is off shoulder we're making, and from the top, from the chest line now, it is 4 inches. So the difference from the chest line to the shoulder line is 4 inches different also. I hope you understand. If you don't understand, you can ask question. So I'm connecting from the chest line to the waistline, and after doing that, the next thing I will do now is to go ahead and cut it out. So now after cutting it out, you see this pieces I'm cutting out now. That's what I will use to cut the rest, both the front and back. I will go ahead and use this one to cut the rest. Okay, so now this is me cutting the back pattern, right? So I just placed the other one we've cut now to cut on the back pattern. So one thing I did with the back pattern was that on the center back, I came down by 1.5 and I made a curve because I felt like it was going to be too high on the back. You know, we only removed 4 inches, right? So I just wanted it to be a little bit lower, right? So I came down by 1.5 and I connected with my curved ruler. Then I went ahead to cut, and this serves for the back pattern. I'm also going to use the fabric to line the upper part also. So I will go ahead and cut the lining for both the front and the back off camera. And don't forget that it is this same fabric I'm using to cut on the lining. So right here I've gone ahead to cut the lining for both the front and the back. Can you see what we have? I've gone ahead to cut. Now some parts of the fabric has stain, and the part that has stain is what I will use as the lining. So you can see what we have now. So you spread them, okay? When you spread it, go ahead and turn it, sew it all round. I will do the same thing for both the front and back. Spread it, okay? Spread it, place it on each shoulder, sew it all round, and flip it to the right side. Then I'll go ahead and do that and come back, then keep it aside, okay? You can see what I'm showing us. Just go ahead and sew it all around like you're turning it, so that at the end of the day you don't have to weave the upper part when you're done sewing. So after getting the upper part done, we'll go ahead to cut the lower part, which is the skirt part. So the first thing you have to do is to fold your fabric into 4. I wanted to make it into a 2-step flare, okay? So this is the smaller part of the flare I cut at first. So it is this one I use in cutting the bigger part, okay? Before I decide to change my mind to use only one flare because I didn't like the outcome, okay? So what you need to do after folding your fabric into 2, we are cutting a 360-degree flare, okay? So the formula is you divide your waist measurement by 6.8. If I divide mine by 6.8, it gave me 5.1. So it is the 5.1 you can see me marking round on the upper part. Can you see? So now I'm just going to connect it, round it, 5.1. Divide your waist measurement by 6.8. That's the formula to calculating 360-degree flare. I'm going to do a video on different types of flare calculation and cutting, okay? So now I'm just going to measure the full length of the fabric, and I'm going to measure it round to make sure that it is equal. Don't forget the placement of the tape at the other end of the fabric, okay? So I'm going to measure it round. After measuring it all round, connecting the lines, I will go ahead and cut. Like I said, this is the smallest part. This is the smaller part of the flare. It was meant to be 2-step, but I decided to make just one because, like I said, I didn't like the outcome. So after connecting the lines, I'll go ahead and cut it out. I'll cut the lower part round, and I'll also cut the waistline, which is the 5.1. And when I spread it, this is what I have. So I'm checking my measurements to see if it's correct. Now, if you're making a flare that is carrying a zipper allowance, you add your zipper allowance to your waist measurement before you divide by 6.8 for a 360-degree flare, okay? So I'll go ahead and slit it open. So another mistake I made was that I was not meant to slit it open at all, because I'm going to close the upper part fully before adding the flare to it, so it wasn't really needed slitting it open, but it's fine. So now this is the bigger part of the flare, and this is what I was telling us. So I'm just going to measure it according to the full length of the dress I am working with, okay? Now you have to make sure that the tape is sitting at the edge of the fabric, and you make sure that it's not moving as you're marking, so that it will be equal. You will get the correct marking, like it will be equal all round. So I'm just going to mark the full length I want. If the full length you want for your skirt is 36, 30, depends, that's what you will mark, okay? Now you will minus the 5.1 inches from the beginning. I will minus it from it first, or probably I will add the 5.1 inches to the full length of the dress I want and use it to mark this part around. So if the full length, let's say if the full length is 20, I'm going to mark 25, okay? So you can see me cross-checking from the waist measurement that I've cut from the first part of the flare. So after that, I will just go ahead and cut it out. I will cut the lower part out, then also I'll go ahead to cut the waist area out. So the next thing we are going to do now is to cut the sleeve. So you can see that it's carrying a short sleeve and off shoulder sleeve. I went ahead to slit one side of it open. Like I said, don't slit your own open, because I went ahead to close it before adding it back to the upper part, okay? So you don't need to slit it open, but I did, because it didn't occur to me from the beginning of the video. So now I have this fabric left for the sleeve. So what you're going to do, when we're measuring the upper bodies, I added 5 inches, and it's from the 5 inches on my measurement started. So for the sleeve, I added 3 inches, and it's from the 3 inches my normal sleeve measurement started. So what I will advise you to do, you can add extra 5 inches to your sleeve so that is not too tight on you when you're wearing it. Okay, the more allowance, the more extra fabric you add, the fuller and freer it becomes on your body. Okay, so I'm just imputing my bicep measurement of the sleeve because it's going to be very short. Then I will just connect. I got my bicep measurement, which is about 4.5. So now I'm imputing my main sleeve measurement and I'm connecting it. Then I will bring out um the main bodies that I've already cut out, so that I can use it to get the armhole line where I will be placing the sleeve on. Okay, the curve we got earlier while cutting on the main bodies, you can see me placing on it. So you just arrange it, make sure it's resting well on the bicep. Then you cut the curve, you just follow the curve that is on the upper part of the dress. Okay, then measure the full length of the sleeve. So for this particular one, I use 6 inches in total as the full length of the sleeve. So another thing I did here that I will want you to correct on your own is that I did not line the sleeve. Okay, please line your sleeve so that every part of the upper part, when you join the sleeve to the main bodies, we already line the main bodies. So please go ahead and line your sleeve. So you'll be cutting 4 pieces instead of 2. Okay, so that by the time you are done joining, you go ahead, do your smoke, attach the sleeve to the bodies. You will not have any parts that you need to weave on, right? So this is the back of the upper bodies. This is the back. You can see the little curve we did at the center back there. So I've gone ahead to rule a straight line. I know you cannot see the lines because my phone is not picking details, and I'm sorry about that. So after ruling the straight line, we're going to go ahead to run the smoky stitch. Okay, so I have the elastic thread with me. So you bring your reeler, then just roll the thread on it. Normally when you are reeling thread on your reeler, you use your machine, right? Don't use your machine on this one. Use your hand, and don't drag the thread when you're doing it. Okay, just make it loose, don't drag it, so that by the time you're done, when you fully roll the thread around the reeler, you go ahead, fix it on your machine. So the elastic thread now is going to be on the inside of the machine. Then the normal thread we're used to sewing with, is going to be on the upper part of the machine. Now another thing you need to take note of is when you're sewing your dress, the right part of the dress will be on the upper part. So it is the wrong part of the dress, that's where the elastic thread will be on. That's where it will be, but at the lower part. Okay, so when I pick my fabric like this, it is having lining, so the lining part is what is under. So it is the right part like this that I'm sewing on like this. Do you understand? So this right side of the fabric now is where the normal thread will be on. Okay, you see the lower part of it I'm showing us, that's the wrong part, and this part you see my hands resting on is the right part of the fabric. Please take note of that. So the elastic and thread, they are meant to be visible on the wrong part of the dress, not the right part. Okay, I hope you understand that. So I'll go ahead and run few stitches for us to see, then I will go offline to run it completely following the lines I have ruled. I ruled 1/2 inch apart. All the lines I ruled to serve as a guide so that I can get straight stitches, they are 1/2 inches apart. Okay, so I did the same thing for the sleeve. So I'm just going to run straight stitch on both the front and back on the two sides of the sleeve. Then we can go to the next phase. You can see how I'm doing it, right? So as you're sewing it, be spreading your fabric very well. Then as the machine is picking it, it will be gathering the fabric because of the elastic thread beneath it, okay? So like I said, I will continue with it like this until I'm done with both the front and the back with the two sleeves, okay? So like I said before, make sure that you line your sleeve, okay, so that you know that the upper part is neatly closed. For me, like this, I'll have to go and weave the armhole area because of the sleeve. You know, I did not line it, okay? So for the fabric not to fray, we have to weave it. But if you line your sleeve too and the bodies, you don't have to weave it. So you see what I'm doing. I'll go ahead and continue with every other part of the dress. You can see the inside, what the inside looks like, and this is the outside. So I will finish it, and this is what we have. These are the sleeves, okay? So these are the two sleeves. You can see that it is neatly done. So the next step now is to join the front and back together. You can see how small it has shrink, right? But you saw it on my body from the beginning of the video. So if you want it freer on your body, you can add more to your extra allowance from the beginning, but it's just perfect the way it is like this. So I'm just going to join the front and back together. So I'm just putting the sides together, the front and back. Then I will now go ahead and attach the sleeve to it. You can see how easy it is. It's really not a difficult thing to do at all. So if you want to try yours out, don't forget to tag me to your work, or I will drop my phone number on the screen. If you need me to guide you on any of my video, you can chat me on WhatsApp. I'll be glad to put you through. Okay, so now I've gone ahead to join one side, and I will go ahead to join the other side the same way. Okay, so now when I flip it to this side, you can see the lower part for the center back that we came down with by 1.5 the other time that it is showing. So if you're still watching, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share. And if you're new to my channel, you're very much welcome. To my returning subscribers, I love you so much, as there will be no me on YouTube without you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. For those dropping nice feedback for me recently, I'm really very grateful. Thank you very much. So for the sleeve now, you remember that we made a slant while we're cutting the sleeve to fit into the slant, the armhole slant for the main dress, and we use the top to cut the armhole for the sleeve. So it is the curve now you now put together. Don't forget, right side facing right side. It is very easy to locate the wrong and right side of this. The right side is where is having the normal thread, the wrong side is carrying the elastic thread, right? So you place the armhole together, which is the armhole curve for both the sleeve and the top. So when you place them on each other, go ahead and sew it straight to the armhole area. Okay, so I'm placing one part now to sew. After sewing one part to the joining on the armhole area, just like you join your normal sleeve, that's all we're doing here. Okay, so after joining it to the armhole area, the next thing I will do now is to go ahead and join the other part of the sleeve also. So you can see what we have. I've gone ahead to join this part, and this is what we have. Can you see it? So now I'm going to flip this one this way, right? Turn it to the wrong side, then put it together. Don't forget, it is the armhole curve that we created while we're cutting that we're sewing on. It's kind of not very visible because you know that it has shrink. But if you're working with your own, you will still see the curve very well to work with. Okay, so I'm just going to join the other side of the armhole. Then I will go ahead and fix the other sleeve the same way we're doing here, and I will repeat it for the other sleeve. Okay, but I'm going to do for the other sleeve off camera to save our time. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. As you're sewing it, as you are joining it together, you make sure that you're stretching it, so that, because if you're not careful, it's not going to be long enough because the fabric has really shrunk a lot. Okay, so you can be stretching it to make sure that it meets with the other parts that you've joined earlier. So after joining this other armhole, We left about 2 inches while we were cutting from the armhole, the bicep area. Okay, so I'll flip it to the wrong side. Then I'm going to bring the remaining tiny edge. Okay, can you see it? Then I'm going to sew it together. This serves as the armhole curve line. Let's say the sleeve closing part. Yes, this part that I'm sewing on now. So this is me closing the sleeve, like just sewing the sleeve. I'm closing it together. Okay, so after sewing this part now, I will repeat the same method for the other sleeve. The same thing we've done here, same thing we'll do for the other sleeve, but I will do it off camera so we can quickly go to the next phase of the video. Now flipping it to the right side, you see how nice it is, right? So I've gone ahead to join the other sleeve, and this is what we have. You can see that it has already come out so well. So now I have to join the skirt part to it. So I went ahead to add lining. I bought the lining. This is suit lining. I bought it when I bought it because I wanted to use it, but from the beginning of the video I felt like the color didn't rhyme, but the fabric was too transparent. It's not something I can put on without a lining, so I decided to manage it like that. So this is why I was telling us that the slit opening up the flare at the beginning is not really needed because I'm already closing it up. You can see what I'm doing here, that it is the opening I made earlier while I was cutting. That's where I am closing. I have to close it up before I will be able to join it round the upper part, because the upper part is already joined together completely. There is no opening. Okay, so I have to close the skirt first before I will be able to join it to the upper part. So now what I will just do now is to pick one side, the side that I joined. Now I'm just going to add it to one side of the dress where I joined together to the armhole side down, one part of it. Then I'm going to place it together and just run a straight stitch. So we're just literally joining the upper part and the lower part together in the video and nothing more. If you're still watching to this extent, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. Tell me what you think about the video. Share your thoughts. I need a feedback from you. Negative, positive. I learn from all of them, okay? So please don't forget to drop a feedback for me. If the video was well detailed, let me know. If it wasn't, tell me where I didn't do well, okay? So you can see me joining it together, and after joining it all round, we are done with the dress. So the next thing I will go ahead to do now is I will go ahead and weave it. Okay, this is what we have. You can see how neatly done it is, right? And like I've always said, my camera doesn't do justice to my work. This thing is prettier on ground, I kid you not. So I'll go ahead and weave the lower part. I'll weave the lining and weave the main fabric, and this is it on my body. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.